Hi, hello everyone. My name is Soren. I'm one of the founders of BAQME, which is a sharing and, as the title says, subscription company specialized in cargo bikes. So why do we exist? Well, originally when we started a company, we wanted to serve a very specific group of people, and that was single moms, because we thought they need this product the most. So we decided the best way to do that is with an app. So they have very low threshold to access the vehicle. They pay per minute, so it's not immediately a huge cost base for them. And hopefully that can make their lives a little bit better. But when we place the vehicles out on the street, as you usually do with sharing bikes, other people wanted to use it too. So we've kind of evolved ourselves, where we started for one specific group of people, a specific persona. We've ended up unlocking all these different types of people with a variety of use cases and reasons why they want to use cargo bikes. And that has made us actually very successful. And has also changed the way we look at how we should introduce the product. So where we first wanted to just do a very social project where we help moms, we still want to do that. But we realized actually we can do bigger things. We can replace car rides. And cargo bikes are ideally suited for that. This is probably for most of you is known phenomenon, but for me the most important thing here is not the numbers, it's the statement on the top. Cars are really holding cities hostage, and any way we can unlock that grip of cars that they have on cities is a success. What do we do? How do we make sure that people want to use cargo bikes? Do we just tell them, hey, here's a product, talk about the use cases, or do we talk about higher things? And that's the latter is what we do. We try to talk about freedom, we try to talk about convenience, we try to talk about inclusivity, very important, because that's what cargo bikes are. They're not only for young people, they're not only for old people, they're not only for parents, they're for everyone. This helps us very much, of course, because we do not want to replace rides that are actually very well for the city. We don't want to replace people walking. We don't want to replace people biking with their regular bikes. We want to replace heavy vehicles, because those are usually cars. The less heavy vehicles on the streets, the better for the city. That's why we also have very good relationships with the cities that we're active in. The market is, of course, this is maybe an investor slide. I usually don't focus it on too much, but it does help to talk about it, because we know the market is huge, but how can we quantify it in a way that for people is understandable? We typically look at car rides. There in the Netherlands alone, there are 2.5 billion car rides annually that are under 5 kilometers. That's ridiculous. We can make a change. Bit of our stats, apologies, they're a little bit outdated. We're doing better than this now even. One thing that hasn't changed is our 5-star rating. That's good. Look, what has happened with us, unlike with other sharing companies, because we've started with a different mindset and we've evolved ourselves in terms of the groups that we service and the goals that we have, we've become from a social project to a sustainability project and a social project to a much more commercial project. And as a result, we have menu rides with a limited fleet size, and we are already profitable. And that for us is the best way to be sustainable as a company, to keep that profitability and grow from strength instead of weakness. How do we do that? How do we get there? We don't build the bike, obviously. As you can see, maybe some of you recognize it. We didn't even build the app. There's a lot of good app builders out there and a lot of good cargo bikes out there. We just focus on one thing, as a fleet management software that need to be tailored for us to make sure that we can drive efficiencies and drive operational improvements across our fleet. We're almost there. We have a very clear strategy. We started as a Dutch company. We continue to focus on the Netherlands as much as possible. We've added Belgium as our second country in our portfolio. And those are the two countries where we want to go big. We want to grow within the city, and we don't want to just expand to many different cities as possible until we can actually build scale. That is why we have built the largest fleet of shared e-cargo bikes in a single city in the world, which is Rotterdam. And lastly, but most importantly, which is a very hot topic, of course, but also very important to keep in mind, shared mobility can really make a difference in terms of having an impact on terms of sustainability. And this is a pretty conservative approach if you think about replacing car rides, but we should think bigger. We should think about what that does to a city when there's less cars. How do we build? How do we build an infrastructure? How do we build roads? Also, the fact that we're using sharing, we don't need as many cargo bikes to be built. There's much more impact than what you're showing here, even though this is already very impressive. I thank you all for your time, and I'll take on questions if you want.
All right, any
I'll
questions?
start out. Just to clarify, you were doing shared, so not subscription, it's shared, right?
Sorry, I should have highlighted that. We do both.
Both, okay.
Yes, subscription is about 20% of our business. So what we do is we started sharing and we realized we want to keep efficiency, so we need to adjust the service zones. So our service areas are centrally located around the center, those places. But outside of the center, people want to use cargo bikes too.
Yep.
And for those people, it's perfect to have subscription, but they have access to the sharing fleet as additional benefit. When their bike breaks down, they can still access the fleet inside the city. And that's where we can reach more people than just the sharing people.
Could you just quickly say something about the economics for the two, the pricing for the subscription, pricing for the sharing?
In terms of upside potential, sharing is way higher. So originally, when you start a business, subscription is about 30-40% gross margin. It's very well, but it's harder to scale with subscription than with sharing naturally. Sharing has potential to have a 60% gross margin. We currently are at 40 already.
And the pricing towards the customer is?
The pricing point?
Towards the customer.
So they're quoted differently, although the best comparison is we have a sharing monthly pass, which is kind of like subscription.
Yep.
You pay 175 euros per month, and you have access not to one bike, but to the entire fleet. The subscription version is 200 euros per month, which is operationally interesting for us because people charge themselves, but they're heavy users. So always be careful when you do subscription. It's not necessarily the Valhalla of business models because they use it a lot. The bikes break down faster.